Well, welcome to Citizen Live at 1. Thank you so much for joining us. And we start the show today with a story on the Attorney General, Professor Githu Muigai, who has reiterated the government's commitment to ensuring that devolution does succeed. Now, he was speaking during the launch of the Kenya Law Commission at the Kenyatta International Conference Center today. Professor Muigai said devolution is here to stay and must be fully supported. He pledged the government's support for the new commission. That story will be with us in just a short while. But first, we want to connect with Kendagor Obadia, who is at the Kerugoya court because the Wambora ruling is taking place today. We've pulled him out of court to give us an update. Let's see if Kendagor is with us on the line from Kerugoya. Kendagor?
Well, I can hear you quite clearly. Of course, we are here at the Kerugoya Law Courts, where three-judge bench is currently determining the case facing cases filed at the High Court by Martin Wambora, the governor for Embu County. And the background of this is that the County Assembly of Embu had impeached Martin Wambora together with the Deputy Governor Dorothy Nditi. And what happened thereafter is that there were court orders trying to bar the County Assembly from proceeding with the impeachment process. And thereafter, the case also moved to the Senate, where they finally sealed Wambora's fate and determined that Wambora is unfit to continue serving as the governor, but saved Dorothy Nditi. What happened thereafter is that Chief Justice William Mutunga assigned three judges led by Rob Olau to determine whether the process was justifiable or whether the County Assembly of Embu followed the law in impeaching Wambora. And the court also was tasked with determining whether the Senate has any powers to be able to summon governors. This is regarding the summonses that were issued by the Senate summoning several governors to appear before it in concerning expenses of their counties. And today the court has begun with determining whether the Senate has those powers, and indeed after reading the law, various parts of the law, the court has determined that the Senate has the powers to summon any governor to provide information and answer questions regarding their county expenses. And so that means that the governors have lost their plea trying to convince the court that that the Senate did not have powers to summon them, and that those who are supposed to be summoned by the Senate are the county executives responsible for finances. And then the court went ahead to determine whether the impeachment or the suspension of the Embu County Deputy Governor Dorothy Nditi was in order. And that has been ruled that she was given enough time by the County Assembly to appear before two committees of the County Assembly, and she declined. And so her plea that she was denied the right to appear and that the rule of natural justice was not applied, does not apply in this court. And the court is now just about to begin determining whether Wambora should continue to serve or whether the law was followed in his impeachment. That is what the court is just about to commence as we are going live right now.
Kendagor, in many ways, what you've just told us is going to be a landmark ruling. What do you see as the impact of this on, the leadership in the country?
Well, it is again coming to what the Senate can do and what the courts can do. As you remember, that there's been a tussle between the powers of the courts and the Senate. If indeed the court finds that the Senate and the County Assembly of Embu violated its orders and that they erred in impeaching Wambora, then that would again bring to the fore another tussle, just like what happened yesterday when the court overruled what the executive did and what the court had issued, the orders that the court had given. And so that would again bring to the fore the conflict between the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. But if the court today rules that indeed Wambora wasn't fit to continue serving the office, then that would send a signal to governors that the Senate will still have the final say on their matters, being matters of governance, being impropriety, or whether they are fit or unfit to serve in office. That is the kind of the situation that will be going around the country, and that is the impact that it will have. It will just send a message to the country as who has powers to do what, and what should be the right process in handling matters like this.
Thank you so much for that update, Kendagor, and Kendagor Badia will keep us updated throughout the course of the day. We shift now to a story on female genital mutilation. A chief in Narok has been arrested for allegedly allowing his 2 daughters and 2 of his neighbors to undergo female genital mutilation. The chief was arrested at his home in Majimoto, Narok South, as the villagers attended a ceremony that's performed after the cut. And Mawade has more on this story.
The frantic search for a chief who compelled his daughters to undergo the cut. It was not long before they laid their hands on him. The villagers had turned up for a celebration popularly known as Ntalengo, which takes place after girls have undergone the cut, and they did not take the arrest of the chief kindly.
Katika baraza zetu huwa tunahimiza ya kwamba sheria ya kuchunga watoto ifuatwe, lakini ni kwamba saa zingine tunasema haya na wananchi wanafuata haya, lakini hatua ikichukuliwa kwa hawa wasasi ambao wameacha watoto wao wakeketwe, nafikiri watajua kwamba sheria iko na watoto wanalindwa.
According to authorities, FGM is rampant during school holidays.
Ile kitu nasikia uchungu sana kusikia chief anaweza tairisha watoto wake na anajua yeye ni mtu wa serikali na ifai. Na tunaomba serikali, tunaomba bwana DC akasilie hiyo maneno na tuhakikishe chief naye amepata midhamo yake, afundishwe juu hiyo ni tabia mbaya kukeketa wasichana wadogo kama hao.
Kwa vile anafanyiwa uchunguzi itabainika kwamba kama ni yeye, kama alihusika na vile alihusika, lakini tayari wasichana tuko nao 2 na wametuambia ni madada, na tumepeleka Narok District Hospital ambaye wameenda kufanyiwa matibabu. Sasa hii bado wako huko. Unajua ni wasichana na tunangojea wameenda na maafisa wa kike.
When the government banned female circumcision in 2001, some communities continued to practice it in secret. Thus, it is not clear exactly how many girls are affected. This latest incident in Narok comes days after a 13-year-old girl in Kajiado bled to death. She had undergone the cut. While the government and human rights groups say the practice is not as rampant as it was 10 years ago, there are serious concerns about the risks of the practice going underground. Anne Mawathe, Citizen Live at 1.
Now, this incident comes after the death of a 13-year-old girl in Kajiado County who's believed to have died of excessive bleeding as she was reportedly undergoing circumcision. And so, on Citizen Live at 1, we ask, how can we end female genital mutilation, a practice that, while banned countrywide, is still widely practiced in certain communities? We'd like your views on this issue. How can we end this practice? 22422 on the SMS, or you can share your views on Twitter as well, Citizen TV News, or on Facebook. We'd love to hear from you. Now, the Africa Cancer Foundation, in partnership with Pan-African Life Holdings, has launched a cancer screening program targeting 6 counties. The campaign, which is dubbed the Pan-African Life Cancer Challenge, is set to roll out starting the 25th of April this year. Diana Karaoke brings us more on this.
The launch of Pan-Africa Life Cancer Challenge was held at Sankara Hotel in Nairobi at an event attended by former Medical Services Minister Professor Anyang' Nyong'o, who is the current chairman of the Board of Trustees of Africa Cancer Foundation, and Johan Van Zyl, the CEO of Sanlam Group, which Pan-Africa Life is a member. Sanlam Group donated 1 million shillings to support the cause.
This is the first contribution which we would like to take forward as a working arrangement into the future of trying to make a difference.
Speaking at the function, Professor Nyong'o and Pan-Africa Life CEO Tom Gitongo emphasized on the need for cancer screening and consequent early diagnosis.
Cancer, when it begins, you don't know. I mean, a lot of cancers don't have immediate symptoms. By the time you have symptoms, it may be too late to treat it. So cancer treatment is only effective if the diagnosis is done earlier.
We believe strongly that cancer is curable.
The campaign, an initiative of the partnership between Pan-Africa Life and Africa Cancer Foundation, also involves golf series in support of the screening exercises expected to take place on various dates between the 25th of April and 29th of August in Nyeri, Kisumu, Nakuru, Mombasa, Uasin Gishu and Nairobi counties. Currently, 20,000 Kenyans die annually from cancer, according to a report by the Africa Cancer Foundation. Diana Karuki, Citizen Live at 1.
Well, let's move to Tetu now, and more than 15 families in Kiangacha village, Tetu, have been left homeless after a landslide destroyed their homes. Nyeri County has over the past week received heavy rainfall that has destroyed property and rendered several people homeless.
18-year-old Dennis Dereva, a Form 4 student at Gishira Secondary School, is lucky to be alive and thankful that he survived to tell his story. He escaped death narrowly after the one-room timber house he was sleeping in was hit by mudslide.
Nilikuwa nimerara. Saa after hiyo mgurumo nisikia nikiwa nyumba ikiwa yangu kwenye huwa narara ikiwa imegongwa na mchanga, nikarushwa na mchanga, lakini sikuumia, ni juu ya mora.
Dennis is not alone in facing this predicament. Other residents of Kiangasha village were woken up with screams as several houses were swept away by wet mud after a heavy downpour the previous night.
Tuliamka asubuhi na kwa vile mvua ilikuwa imenyesha sana, tukaona maji imeteremkia kando ya nyumba, kapita ng'ombe, tukakuta imebeba mchanga, imeng'oa madisi, hata imeng'oa miti.
Residents claim they face such problems every year when the rainfall season begins, but they cannot relocate as they have nowhere else to go to. Instead, they brave the elements and hang on, hoping that the situation will eventually improve. Local authorities have, however, provided an alternative to the residents.
Tuwezi kubali watu walale hapa. Tumetafuta mahali mbadala, wataenda kukaa kwa chuo cha anuai cha Gishira ama Gishira Polytechnic, wakae huko for some time mpaka mvua ipungue. Kwa sababu tunaona hali si nzuri na hapa panaonekana ni mahali pa maporomoko.
Kenya Red Cross officials and staff from the Nyeri County government visited the affected families and donated foodstuff and clothing to the victims. Zediko's Gay for Citizen Live at 1.
Well, now in studio, we're happy to welcome Harun Komen, who's the acting commissioner